Season 1 of Dragonflight is close to ending now, and I'm basically at that point where I'm just sat waiting for the next patch. And it's got me thinking. I've been thinking about survival and how it's been this past entire season. And it's been nerfed recently. Like, it had a sizable nerf recently. It was a big nerf it's just had. And then there was also, just the other day, they've nerfed the new tier set as well, because that was also too strong. And I've just been thinking how the spec's been really strong for pretty much all this first season, where it had to get a sizable nerf. Yet throughout the entire season, everybody's called it trash and unplayable, and it just doesn't make sense, really. It's like survival's always a spec that, I mean, it's not always the best spec, and it's usually not the best spec. It's pretty much always middle of the pack, maybe a bit higher, maybe a bit lower, but it's never at the bottom. Apart from Castle Nathria, that's a different story. It was kind of at the bottom then, but even then, Mythic Plus, that tier, was still really good. It's just, yeah, that season you could call it bad, but outside of that, it's been a really solid spec, and it's strange, right? I've played this deck for so long now, and every single season outside of season 3 of Shadowlands, where it's straight up broken, I get the same thing. Whenever I join a pug, whenever I pug a key, I get the, oh wow, I've never seen a survival hunter before, and you did loads of damage too. Oh wow, who would have guessed? I heard it was the worst spec in the game, and you did damage? That doesn't make any sense. You've blown my mind. You've convinced me. How many people have to get convinced? Because this must happen when anybody does survival and keys, because like it's actually a pretty solid spec. How is everybody not convinced yet? Or you'll get the comment at the start of the key where it's survival question mark. Are you sure you want to do that? Why don't you stop trolling and go BM or MM? Because why would you play survival when it's the worst spec in the game? Which it's not. It's technically it's the best hunter spec for Mythic Plus. Azor, the MMBM guy, like the hunter guy, he does all the ice event stuff. He's the one who talks to Max, right? On stream when they're rating specs and stuff. And he's always the one who talks about hunters. He straight up says that Survival Hunter is the go-to, it should be the go-to hunter spec in keys. Yet nobody plays it. He doesn't even play it. Nobody plays it as the lowest representation out of all the specs in the game. Never mind just the hunter ones. And I don't get it. So people are aware that it's really good, but they're not willing to play it, and then everybody else is like, it's bad, and it doesn't make sense. And it's confusing why it's got this negative perception when it shouldn't do, and it's like it's part of the spec's identity now, is just that it's a meme and it's bad, even though it never really has been, and that was going to be different after we were straight up broken at the end of Shadowlands. Like, we were insane that patch, and I thought, okay, everybody's realized this spec can do stuff, like, okay, it was broken then, but I thought moving forward, that means like people wouldn't go back straight away to thinking, oh, it's going to be terrible without even giving it a try. And that totally happened this season. That completely happened, more so than I thought it would. It's been at the bottom of everybody's tier list. And everybody, I don't even think it was considered for like the Race to World first. I think they probably saw Hunters weren't looking too great. And then they were like, okay, well, if Hunters aren't great, that means Survival is going to be terrible just because. It's like my time playing Survival. I think it's like this, right? Survival is that one kid in school who's pretty damn good at dodgeball. Like, you're doing PE, you're doing sports, and you're playing dodgeball. And you're pretty good at it. But one of the kids in the school, they've spread a rumor that you have lice. And no team wants to pick you now. Like, even if you're pretty good, no, everybody just thinks like, hey, let's stay away from that kid. Like, even the teacher he's even ignoring you now. He's trying to like keep you away from the other kids. And yeah, that was this season of Dragonflight. It's like the players are trying to say, hey, don't play it. Blizzard were like, hey, don't play it. It seemed like, with the weird changes and the nerfs and I don't know. It's all, this season's been weird, and next season is probably going to be the exact same, even though we're looking even stronger. We have better AoE now. Single target's going to be about the same, maybe a bit less, but overall, we're looking really, really solid. And I don't think anybody's going to care. We're going to be at the bottom of everybody's tier list. I can already see that. And then everybody's going to think it's bad again. It's going to top logs. People still won't care unless it's like way on the top every week. And people might care in a few months. That's what I can foresee, if I was to guess. Like, this season, Survival Hunter, you could definitely argue. I don't even say you could argue. It was the best single target spec in the game for a portion of time. Yet nobody cared. Teros, the one single target fight in the raid, it was the top DPS on the logs for basically the entire season. Boss damage, we were one of the top DPS, and nobody cared. Nobody cared in the slightest, because overall, on the logs, we kind of sucked. AoE, we didn't do so good at. We were like the bottom on council, so that kind of brought us down. Pretty much every fight in that raid has some kind of ads. We were really, really good for Teros. We were really, 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 really good for Razagath. Was it even considered in the World First race? Probably not. Was it considered in the top 100 race? Like the top 100 people who killed it? Probably not. Nobody considered it, even though it was really good for that fight. It was really good for Teros. It was really good for Broodkeeper if you're on the boss. I don't think anybody considered it. I think people probably pushed people away from playing survival. There's probably people who are like, hey, I see survival doing pretty good. Can I play it in the raid group? And I bet there's raid leaders who are just like, because it's got this bad perception, we're saying, hey, no, play BM or MM on this fight where it's actually worse at, just because they think it's better, even though it is worse on some fights. So it's weird. And I want people to play the spec. I want people to find out how fun it is, because it's a really fun spec and it's been really strong. If it was weak, I'd say, hey, it's not so good right now. I wouldn't be like saying, hey, it's actually really good, just to try and bait people to play the spec, even though it is great. And I would still try to get people to play the spec anyway. But it's been really good and I don't understand, and it's frustrating me so much. It's always frustrated me because it's always been like this. But this time we've actually been really good. Like, undeniably good, and people still say it's awful, and it just drives me insane. So if people make tier lists and they put survival on the bottom, just don't listen to them, please. It's really good. It's going to be really good next year. I swear, it's going to be good. I just want people to feel like they can actually play the spec and not get invited to pugs, not get invited to keys, not get invited to raid groups just because they're playing, first of all, a hunter, and second of all, the meme hunter, which it's not. It's the good hunter. It's just, I want people to be able to play whatever they want. Obviously, you can play whatever you want in the game. If you're not doing world first content, you can literally play anything. People keep saying this, but people keep being elitist and be like, no, you can't play this, even though it doesn't make sense. And it makes even less sense when the spec's actually good and people are saying don't play it. And our damage profile has been so sweet this expansion. We've had a great single target with really good burst on a short CD. You can burst. You can have your big burst cooldown during every single shield on Razagath. What? That sounds good. Why does nobody care, or why does nobody bring that fact up? Oh, you have really good priority damage for the ads in the first intermission, so you can break down the shields easier if you want to. No way, you have Harpoon, which lets you ignore the winds completely. Not only that, but it gives you added damage for doing so you're the only class in the entire game that gains damage from the winds happening, and you ignore them. Whoa, that sounds pretty cool, but nobody cares. Nobody talks about it. Also, something that people don't seem to bring up is our survivability. People laugh saying, survival hunter, they can't even survive, and it's in the name. But we've got really, like, we're a hunter, but with benefits, with our self-sustain. People don't really consider that we have just flat 10% leech. Like other hunters on a raid fight, they're healing for like 1 or 2k HPS during the fight. We're sat there easily at 7 or 8k, even higher if we're not getting healed that much. And we don't even have to press a GCD to do so. And people don't bring that up. People, in Season 3 of Shadowlands, the spec was fine doing the highest keys anybody was pushing. And then suddenly people start saying there's no way Survival will be able to push those high keys this season in Dragonflight, because not only does it have bad damage, but it also has really bad survivability. Even though we gain a massive defensive button, and if we're willing to play at swap, we have another defensive button too that we've gained from Shadowlands. We've got more now. So I don't understand how we were able to comfortably push plus 30 keys like it was. Like, we could do plus 30 keys, survivability wasn't an issue. We could do that, that's fine. But plus 20 keys in Dragonflight, hold up. I don't think you'll be able to do that now because your DPS isn't as good. And it's just, how can we suddenly go from plus 30s being fine to plus 20s being a hurdle, and there's no way we'll be able to survive in those keys? So yeah, I'm going to stop ranting. I do this. I like to rant, especially with survival. I love survival, dude, and I want people to play it. If you haven't played survival yet, give it a try. It's really fun. If you are playing survival and you're worried because your raid leader's telling you to play another spec, tell them to shut up because it's great. It's good. Going into next patch, it's going to be really good. And yeah, our strength this expansion so far has been our single target. Our single target has been immensely good. And next patch, unlike Vault of the Incarnates, which only had one single target boss, there's a lot of single target bosses. So I have a feeling like we're actually going to be really high up on the logs overall, but I doubt people will still play the spec. So that's the video anyway. I hope you enjoyed my ranting. I don't know if you would enjoy it, but whatever. Have an awesome day, and yeah, also with the liking and the subscribing, you should do it because it makes me feel happy. Thank you. Goodbye, and have an awesome day.